In today's F125 My Team Career Mode episode, things go a little bit sideways for us early on the formation lap, and we'll get to that, but excited to get into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix off the back of a really solid Bahrain race, where we, as the first time as an owner-driver, was able to climb up to the podium in our own team. We were fighting actually for first place at one point in the race versus Gasly, Bortoleto, even our own teammate Verstappen earlier on in the race, but it would be the red number 5 that would ascend to glory. Domination from Bortoleto at the end of the race. I don't know how, I don't know where him in Ferrari found that pace. It was like watching Seb in his prime at Ferrari, just him gallivanting away, and it's epic to see the number 5 raid up there on the top step. It's great to see Ferrari back and strong maybe, and Bortoleto with that takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. As we look at the table quickly, as we've already started then our first flying lap in qualifying around Jeddah. But yeah, with that podium, we're up to 3rd place. Verstappen solid in 2nd, and I mean the two IRL friends off circuit here in the game in this season looking like maybe the two strongest candidates, because there's a sizable gap from Verstappen to ourselves, and we're level on points with Charles Leclerc, who actually had a really good race in Bahrain and surprisingly actually fared quite better than Verstappen on the tyre wear at the end of the race to come back at us, and he actually even pressurized us at the end of Bahrain. So maybe that's the one to watch out. You know, McLaren, it wasn't the best first 2 races, you know, Leclerc going backwards from pole positions, but that 3rd race at Bahrain, even though he wasn't on pole, that was maybe better for him, less pressure, and he seemed to fare better in the race. As we get through the first part of qualifying up in P9, Verstappen P3, the real surprise here, I guess, would be the two Toyotas way up there of Marty and Soloff, and unfortunately Red Bull, well, I mean, they're going to be a bit worried and concerned that they nearly got knocked out. Both Williams will be annoyed that they still not really unlocked any more pace in their car from last season to this one. But yeah, Red Bull nearly got knocked out, 15 and 16. What's going on there? I mean, I know they had both a horrendous race in Bahrain, and maybe that just shows how much the AI focus level can matter, and certainly my focus levels were completely taken off this earth into that corner. What was that? Final corner, massive lockup. I feel like I got a little bit sidelined by watching that the Toyota, because I didn't really know where he was going to go. I was kind of afraid he would move across the racing line. You can never really be too sure. We've had our own fair share of scares here at Jeddah and mishaps where we have moved incorrectly off the racing line or onto it and caused a collision. So I was a little bit wary there. It's been a much better final corner on this second flying lap in Q2. As we run to the line, it's going to be about 3.5 tenths improved, and that will secure us our Q3, our second Q3 in a row of the season, which I say because it's actually quite a big deal, because those first 2 races, you know, we were on the back foot, and now it feels like we've gotten comfy again with this car as an owner driver. Obviously in the timeline, in this story, 6+ years out of Formula 1, now back in our own team alongside Verstappen. It's a big deal, and I think we're definitely making progress versus Verstappen, who's up there here, of course. But a big congrats to Taylor Barnard, who gets the Audi Revolut team into Q3 at the expense of Gasly. He'll be disappointed. Russell's through, though, his teammate. Obviously, Leclerc is up there as well with the 2 Ferraris and 2 Aramco Hondas. Of course, it's basically their home race, you know, Aramco based here in Saudi Arabia, so they're going to want to do well. And maybe, you know, in a weird way, Hadjar and Benetton might be annoyed they didn't make it through into the top 10 shootout, because they've made a habit of that. But there's still plenty to fight for in the race from just outside the top 10, which also might, you know, play into Gasly's favour. But the first flying lap then, no mistakes, but I also felt like I could have pushed that a little bit more. We were a bit timid, let's say, into some of these corners, and you can see here, you know, the banking, we actually gained a bit of time initially, then lost some, then gained it again on the exit. It's those kind of longer corners where you really have to kind of, you're on a teetering balance edge of being aggressive, of getting the traction down, but not losing grip. And so we gained effectively over that area, and then into the hairpin, gaining quite a bit in the brake zone on the exit, more like getting 2 tenths. So in that last sector, we're already up now by a couple of more, and so we're up to about 8 tenths gained, and that is going to get us up into, ooh, surprisingly, Only P6. I was kind of ready to say maybe a second row again, but only P6. And Verstappen pole. Where's that come from? Max Verstappen has got this team's first pole position of this season, and that's blindsided me because both of us did not look that quick in Q2 and Q1. The car looked like, I just thought, okay, maybe our car's just not as quick as some other teams over one lap around here. But Verstappen has shown his class, how good he is. He's pulled out the bag out of nowhere to get pole ahead of Albon in the Ferrari, Russell, Bortoletto, Leclerc P5 ahead of us. So it's a very exciting top 6 and a very exciting top 10, really, with both Hondas there and Audi just being there in the top 10 is exciting. Let's go to the grid. I'm sure tyre wear is going to play into a factor and strategy as well.
We're here today on the shores of the Red Sea in the Lower Hejaz Mountains to visit one of the newest circuits in the Formula One calendar, Jeddah, home to what we all hope is going to be a thrilling Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Alex Albon lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Bortoletto, Charles Leclerc and Button, Norris, Maloney, Lawson and Pierre Gasly, Hadjar, Crawford, Pepe Marti and Stroll, Solov, Aaron, Zach O'Sullivan and Victor Martins, Bishaw, Barnard, Fittipaldi and Jack Doohan. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Delighted to say joining us for this intriguing race is Anthony Davidson. I love this moment in the weekend. Put us in their shoes right now. What are they feeling on the grid?
You've got to know, you've got to have a pre-race game plan. You've watched videos before you get into the car of previous races gone by. You know where you have to place your car if X, Y or Z happens in front of you or behind you. So having this clear game plan is absolutely essential before you get in the car.
Surprisingly, the default strategy is a one-stop from the medium to hards. Remember, last episode, our engineer gave us a 4-stop in the middle of that race after an early safety car. So you can understand my shock that this is meant to be a one-stop maybe with the levels of tyre wear we've had. I feel like many drivers might move to a 2, but let's get on to this rather wayward moment. Before the race has even begun, near disaster in front of our eyes is... We narrowly missed Leclerc, twice that is, because I slammed on the brakes to not hit the wall and then locked the rear, span it, and nearly hit Leclerc a second time after the initial rear end. There it is, 1 and then 2. That's how close we were. And we actually did hit the wall. Thank God that there's no real physics enabled on the formation lap. I feel like there should be, because for a moment like that, I kind of deserve the embarrassment that would have been a formation lap crash, because that was rather embarrassing, I have to admit, and will play into the narrative, I'm sure, that we should have never returned as an owner-driver. The crash in Suzuka, this sort of mistake here, even with the podium last episode, maybe doesn't help our case that maybe Unk is past it here, but nevertheless, Aarava is here in the cockpit again, and we're going to try and put that past us. We're going to forget about that, and we're going to focus on this race here in Jeddah with our teammate Max Verstappen on pole position. For the team, that's going to be exciting. For me, that's a bit difficult. We need to really pull our socks up to try and close the gap there as we go. It's the lights out and we're underway. More importantly, first of all, we need to try and navigate turn 1 and get through lap 1 all cleanly as Verstappen goes a bit defensive but ultimately is unbothered in P1. We have to go very easy on the brakes not to slam into anyone, and Norris tried to go on the outside, didn't really work, but we haven't, at the same time made a move. So swings and roundabouts, we sort of just kind of, stayed put basically. Maybe a bit very timid lap 1, turn 1, but from experience, even on this game on F1 25, we've had our fair share of incidents on the opening lap when we've tried to be too aggressive, and we can now wait to a better moment maybe on the outside of the banking. And this is quite, well, it's quite cool, it's quite weird. Racing Leclerc, our former driver from Season 4, he must be thinking, what on earth is this? My former boss is attacking me now in his own car. Yeah, very, very weird situation, but we're trying to get past the McLaren for P5. Verstappen still leads. It's Albon still in second, which is good for him. You know, Bortoleto so far has clearly been the stronger Ferrari, so Albon kind of needs a good race to try and G himself up a bit, and this might just do it as he actually goes maybe for a move on Verstappen. No, not quite into the final corner. Bortoleto as well successfully defending George Russell, but already we've not even got to the end of lap 1, and there are some moves from the top 4. This might be a very exciting Grand Prix with moves left and right as Albon goes and gets P1. Bortoleto, though, manages to defend from Russell as I defend from Norris. I wanted to attack Leclerc. I ended up being attacked by Norris, so we had to go kind of defensive and attacking to try and just hold position in the end. It would be frustrating, but we'll just hold through, and I feel like in a couple of laps with DRS now activated as well, we will have that chance to get Leclerc as Verstappen now goes down to third. Is it? Is this Ferrari domination confirmed? What's going on? They had a couple of seasons completely out of it, but the Constructors' champions from seasons 1 and 2, are they back? Are Ferrari fully back? As it could be 3 wide between Russell, Verstappen and Bortoleto. Not quite. Instead, it's Russell versus Bortoleto, and Verstappen, he's down to 4th from pole, from P1 to 4th. That's crazy. So that's a bit concerning for our race pace as we do get past Leclerc into turn 1. But can Verstappen come back and show the car has a bit of, you know, pace about it in race conditions? Or maybe it's just a case of this is kind of where the car is, you know, quicker than the McLaren, but not as quick as the Ferrari and the Red Bull of Russell, because Gasly isn't there yet, but he is closing. But there's plenty of fighting going on, and it will be 3 wide this time. Verstappen on the inside of 1, 2 cars. Verstappen looking to make a double pass, and he's done it. I think, yes. Yes, he has. Just when you try and count him out, he reminds you how good he is. Double overtake. Beautiful. Into P2. And now behind, Gasly has overtaken Norris. He's got Maloney, and he's now attacking Leclerc. So the fight is right behind me, and that's going to give us a bit of breathing room to those 2 cars. But Gasly, I think, is going to get Leclerc here. So maybe a bit of a shame for McLaren, not showing the exact same sort of pace as they did in Bahrain. As look at the fighting going on behind as well, by the way. 3 wide between the 2 Hondas and the Mercedes of Norris. And that's Maloney getting the elbows out. And it's 3 wide between an Audi, Benetton, and the other McLaren of Lance Stroll. So there's so many interesting fights going on just outside the top 10 as well. And it's great to see, by the way, Audi getting in the mixer here and giving it a good go and fighting for those positions, as Norris is very aggressive to maintain P8 there, and will hope, well, for his sake, probably try and kick off and chase after Leclerc as Gasly's pulled away and is looking to try and close the gap to us. But right now, we're kind of all level pegging. There's no real change in the gaps apart from maybe some swapping between Verstappen and Russell, but my engineer, Mark, he's asked me to come in now. He says a 2-stop is on. I've looked at my tyre wear. You heard just then. He's very insistent I come in. My tyre wear does look pretty bad on the heads-up display there. The car doesn't feel horrendous, and we are gaining the top 3 here, the 3 ahead of us, but they're fighting so much. I decided, let's come in, let's go to the 2-stop. Last episode, I didn't want to follow what Mark said because 4-stop, you're joking. But a 2-stop around here, I can buy into that strategy, and I'm going to trust him that he maybe knows what he's doing here, and we're going to come in. Because also in my mind, we come in, we're on fresher medium tyres, and we're hopefully going to basically try and overcut the 3 cars ahead of us. And if it works, we could be in a net P2, because those 3 were Verstappen, Bortoleto, Russell, as we come out in clean air, which is ideal, and it gives us time to get into a groove and eventually rapidly close up to Fittipaldi in the Cadillac, which we haven't seen too much of in its all new beautiful look for this season, and we'll have to see if they can try and develop and grow some confidence as a team later into the season as they did last season. I feel like when you've got maxed out cars like we have now, for the midfield teams, quote unquote midfield to lower teams, I think it's about getting a rhythm, getting like a groove going operationally as a team, and also the AI drivers getting focused through the season. And then you start to see some performances. As we get the Toyota, we had to go left to right. He made it a bit difficult, but eventually we do get it. It's simple enough. But we did lose a tiny bit of time, and we're trying to gain as much time as we can. As Lawson's in, we carry on, setting personal best. We're now catching up to Hajar and Stroll. Hajar, can we get him on the outside? We're going to give it a good go, but Hajar, rear end squirms. He shut the door. This is not what we need. This is not what we need. This is terrible right there. We should have got that move done, and now we're losing time. We may have not lost that much with the Toyota. We absolutely are losing time here with Hadra and Benetton just then, because I had to let off just to allow his rear end squabble as we get down the inside eventually through a very unorthodox corner compared to the banking especially. So that was a bit frustrating. Stroll, can we make this simple? Will he put up a good defense because he knows we're fighting, or in the realm of fighting, his teammate Leclerc? No, Stroll unable to put up any defense. Not too surprised. We're up into P10 and now catching up to Vishore, who, I got to put my hands up, is impressing me and is doing quite well. But to be fair, in the game, he's definitely rated a bit more than maybe he should be in terms of comparison to Hajar, and one of you pointed that out in the comments of the first episode of the season. So yeah, I feel like Hajar needs a bit more justice with the ratings maybe, and hopefully he will get that into the F1 26 DLC, because, well, I actually don't know. I assume they're going to be doing some driver rating updates for that DLC. I genuinely don't know, hand on heart, what the situation is with that. But anyway, getting back to the live action here in the race, lap 11, and these are all the people still going on mediums, and that's how far away I am, having made one stop. So that's a good sign for us to basically essentially make up that extra pit stop if they're all going for the one, but we need to keep the momentum going, and to that effect, oh, it's a kamikaze dive. You love to see it. It's the best feeling in the world in an F1 car when you can just make that dive. You can be confident on the brakes, and I just knew that we had what it took to overtake Maloney there in the Honda. A little bit of dirty air for the Mercedes maybe, and that was really satisfying. That was needed as well, because once we get Norris here, there is going to be acres of clean space, because Leclerc surely comes in very, very soon. It's another move on the inside. That's our third overtake in the span of like 3 corners, or the last 4 overtakes, 3 of them were at that corner. Really, really nice stuff. As there you go, people are in, and right on cue, good for us. We set a purple lap time, although it was only 3 green sectors, so it just all added up, I guess. And it's a fastest lap, but the rear end gets away from us a little bit, reminding us though that we are on a different strategy and out of sync, and therefore we've got major tyre wear now creeping on lap 14, and I'm going to come in for this scheduled pit stop that Mark gave us. We're a bit too hot. Oh! How on earth did we, 1, not put that car in the wall, 2, make the pit lane speed limit? That was crazy. Unreal pit entry. Are you kidding me? I have just made the most Tom Cruise entrance to the pit lane. That was probably the best pit entry you're going to ever see. The drama, the precision to not be over the speed limit. And then my team cocks it up with a mistake on the front left. Beautiful. Just cinema there. You just hate to see it as we have to fight on the exit with the Audi Revolut car to get up into P6? Yeah, P6. But this is the replay then. Way too hot, locked up. It doesn't get it any better on the replay. We were millimeters away from hitting the wall, and I don't even want to know how close we were to being over the speed limit and getting a drive-through penalty or something like that. And then obviously this mistake happens, and all of that heroism is eroded. And this is the off-board replay in slow-mo just to see how close things were. And what I didn't know is we were actually super close to hitting 2 walls. There was the Tech Pro barrier here because my rear left goes out because we start to lock up. So we were actually closer to hitting the wall on the left-hand side compared to this right-hand side. But look at that. We're sideways entering the pit lane, and we've managed to keep it out of both walls and make the pit speed limiter. That is, yeah, as I said, the best pit entry, the most heroic pit entry I've ever done. won't matter for anything thanks to our pit crew, so thanks for nothing. So in this race then, 17 laps gone, 8 to go in it, and we are in P6 on fresher, much fresher hard tyres. The rest of them are on hards. They are doing a one-stop, but people like Leclerc seemingly struggling, so maybe a commentator's curse. I gave them a compliment, McLaren and Leclerc, at their tyre around Bahrain. It looks like here in Jeddah, it is really not working for them because they are just going backwards now. Leclerc comes back at the shore a little bit for P7, but I feel like Vishal looks very, very quick here, and Norris isn't too far away, and that Mercedes has been quietly just going about his business and creeping up, so let's see how that progresses as we gain on Gasly. Now, I will admit, Gasly was actually behind us before our first pit stop to go onto the 2, but Gasly isn't too far away from Bortoleto, which wasn't a driver I was anywhere near before we converted to a 2-stop. So I still think that we are on for a good result here, as long as something doesn't go wrong for us, and I really need to get past Gasly. I've got the fear with Gasly now. No love lost between us two on the F1 game, and after what's happened so far at Suzuka, Bahrain last time, hopefully we've balanced out the aggressive moves on each other. We've made the pass there, and we can move on with our life because we've actually absolutely gapped him by 3 seconds because we've got much better pace on the fresher hards. The Ferrari, though, it's seemingly a very good car on acceleration there as we try and fake from the left to the right to make the move on Gabriel Bortoleto, the man who dominated in Bahrain, down here in P5, whilst his teammate, by the way, still leading the race by 4.2. So there's something in the water at Ferrari, and there's definitely not anything in the water at McLaren, apart from a tyre wear virus, because Leclerc has double locked up there and has gone straight on at turn 1 nearly, and is down to P9. There is nothing going on for McLaren in this race. He's down to 9th. And that is going to be maybe P10 soon, because I feel like Maloney's going to get him very, very soon as Bortoleto is closing. So it's not over yet. We're actually saving battery because I could just see Bortoleto was going to overtake us anyway on this straight. So I may as well harvest battery and get DRS. So we denied Bortoleto DRS and got a bit more ERS to now try and line up a pass. But he was quite far ahead. We're going to have to go from quite far back. Oh, we're wincing in the cockpit and it's not good. It's a bit of damage on the front wing, and that's a little bit costly for me, but we've still got the tyre advantage, so I'm hoping we can still get Bortoleto by the end of this one. It's an engine failure for Charles Leclerc and McLaren. They go up in smokes, and no wonder Leclerc was going backwards. That must have been an imminent engine issue that was bubbling under the surface. Little did we know, that maybe explains it. Now maybe you can't say it was the tyre wear. Maybe it was just the fact that he was always due to retire at some point in this race, and it was his time then on lap 23. So Leclerc, unfortunately, the McLaren bad luck has stayed at McLaren, so it wasn't a Verstappen thing at McLaren, it was just a McLaren thing, and it's now, well, I guess doubled up with Leclerc's curse in Formula 1, and he is out of this one as we go for a surprise move on the inside. I was very much prepared to stay behind Bortoleto there, but he just slowed up so much. It was almost like Leclerc v Verstappen in 2022, where I just decided, oh, let's just make the move anyway. If he's going to play a bit of a game, I may as well go down the inside. And now, going from left to right, dummying Bortoleto a little bit questionable on the curb, but we get across, get the elbows out, and get up into P4. And I really hope that could be us solidified in P4 for the rest of the race, as it's Norris then up to P7. Vishal Hajar running P8 and 9. That'll be a brilliant result for Benetton if it finishes like this. Russell still half a second within Verstappen, so the fight for P2 is still very much on, but it's not in P1. Oh, was that a puff of smoke? It is Albon with the second engine failure of the race. The heat here in Jeddah, way too much for some of these engines, and it's a second failure in the span of a couple of laps, but this one's even more crucial. It's the race leader. Albon cannot catch a break. He's been absolutely slapped around by Bortoleto this entire season so far, and the one race where he's dominating in the lead, he has an engine failure with only a lap and a half to go, and now I'm sorry, that means this fight just got way more intense between George Russell in the Red Bull Ford and Verstappen in our car, because this is now a fight for first place onto the last lap. Russell crossing the line and pulling out for the move, and Verstappen apparently helpless. Where was the defense there from Verstappen? Maybe he's got no battery to use. Whatever the case, that was a very subdued Verstappen, kind of accepting his fate, and he's going to get DRS, of course, on the run for the rest of the last lap. But can Russell hold him off? There is only 3 to 4 tenths between the top two in this race. Unbelievable stuff. And it's even better, it's 2 different AI drivers. That's how crazy that is, that 2 AI drivers are going to finish so close on the last lap. Verstappen, he's not made a move. He's not got anything, has he? Russell has enough battery, and he's pulled off a last lap overtake for the race win. Unbelievable action here in Jeddah. What drama. The leader, engine failure, and then the de facto P1 and 2 fight, crossing the checkered line, side by side. Cinema. Absolute cinema. And we, out of all of that, we inherited a 3rd place. We finessed our way onto the podium with those engine failures. Amazing.
A superb drive from the talented George Russell, who takes the checkered flag.
Well, they showed true grit out there today, not to be outdone by the rough circumstances, many points that came their way today. A job well done, not the easiest of days, but they walk away with a race victory.
It's Russell's 2nd win of the season, remember. He had that horrendous no points finish, though, in Bahrain, so he's only 3rd in the championship, but it's game on, and clearly when things go right, Red Bull are very much a factor. Even though it seemed like Ferrari became really a strong candidate, it's still all to play for, and it's still so hard to really tell who's going to be there by the end of the season, because it's so early in this one, and we've had so many different great fights. Guys, if you've enjoyed this, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Fall On content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.